NFL officiating has constantly been an issue on the grand stage.
You seen the highlights?
No.
You know it's rigged, right?
No, I don't remember any of the highlights. I've never watched the game back. No, I watched the game back. It's so rigged. It's not even funny. I don't even know how they even got away with that.
It gets so bad to the point where the conspiracy theorists can't help but wonder if the game was really rigged and scripted behind the scenes. So, with that said, here are 10 fishy instances that had us wondering if the Super Bowl was rigged. Super Bowl 57. Hold or no hold? Football fans generally understand when officials are reluctant to throw a flag in a playoff game that's going down to the wire. For much of Super Bowl 57 between the Philadelphia Eagles and Kansas City Chiefs, this was the case. Carl Sheffers and his crew had called only 8 penalties up until the game's most important play. The game was tied 35 apiece with less than 2 minutes to go. Patrick Mahomes' squad faced a pivotal 3rd and 8 situation in the red zone with 1:54 to go. The Eagles only had 1 timeout, so a first down here would almost seal the game for Kansas City. Mahomes' pass to Juju Smith-Schuster fell incomplete. However, Eagles cornerback James Bradbury was flagged for holding on the play. The Chiefs were able to melt the clock and set up Harrison Butker's short game-winning field goal, winning their 2nd Super Bowl in 4 years. Everything about Super Bowl 40. If there was one NFL game that has ever looked legitimately scripted and rigged, it was Super Bowl 40. Easily. The Seattle Seahawks squared off against the Pittsburgh Steelers at Ford Field in Super Bowl 40. This would be the last game for Steelers Hall of Fame running back Jerome Bettis, fittingly a Detroit native. Unfortunately, the Seahawks just never stood a chance in this game. And it was all because of the Zebras. It started with this garbage offensive pass interference call against Darrell Jackson that nullified a touchdown, forcing Seattle to settle for a field goal. Trailing 14-10 in the 4th quarter, Matt Hasselbeck hit Jeremy Stevens inside the 5-yard line for a first down. Just when it looked like Seattle might take the lead, Sean Locklear was issued a phantom holding penalty. Oh, but don't worry, it got worse. Hasselbeck was picked off by Ike Taylor on a pivotal 3rd down play, and to add insult to injury, the officials penalized Hasselbeck for a block below the waist on the interception return. As Al Michaels explained, it was clearly a legal tackle. The Steelers took advantage of the generous field position, with Antoine Randall L. throwing a touchdown pass to Hines Ward on a trick play to ice the game. Bettis retiring as a champion in his home city was not the main storyline, nor is Bill Coward finally reaching the mountaintop. No, it was the referees taking over the game, to the benefit of one team. You know, just as everyone wanted. Super Bowl 58, the missed game-changing call. Hey look, another Super Bowl game where the Chiefs were the beneficiary of bad officiating. And this time, the 49ers were on the wrong side. What's disappointing is that the referees actually did a pretty good job calling this game for 4 quarters. But when Super Bowl 58 went to overtime, well, that of course is when the refs blew it. Again. 49ers kicked a field goal on the ensuing overtime drive. With Kansas City facing a 3rd and 6 situation at their own 41-yard line, the 49ers were now 2 stops away from winning the Super Bowl. But Mahomes found a wide-open Rashee Rice for a big gain and fresh set of downs. This was all made possible by Jerick McKinnon's holding infraction on Fred Warner, which the refs inexplicably missed. So instead of 3rd and long, the Chiefs get the first down. Mahomes caps off the drive with a game-winning touchdown to Mecole Hardman. Because, I mean, come on, why shouldn't the Chiefs get help from the refs with the Super Bowl on the line? Super Bowl 55. Flags galore on Kansas City. Look, if you really hate Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, and if you think the officials have really actually rigged games for them, then hey, good news for you. The officials were also entirely against them in their Super Bowl 55 blowout loss to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Fans were ultra hyped for a Patrick Mahomes versus Tom Brady Super Bowl in the bizarre 2020 season impacted by COVID-19. Unfortunately, the refs decided to take center stage, specifically by helping the home team. The referees called penalty after penalty after penalty on Kansas City here. Tyrann Mathieu's potential game-changing interception to halt Tampa's momentum was nullified by this tacky penalty call. That set up the Bucs' 2nd touchdown. Then there was a pathetic defensive pass interference call late in the first half when it was totally uncatchable for Mike Evans. Speaking of uncatchable balls, Tom Brady nearly throwing the ball into the stands somehow justified a PI penalty against Mathieu. So that set up Brady's touchdown pass to Antonio Brown that practically put the game on ice at halftime. And somehow, there was the instance where only Mathieu was penalized when both he and Tom Brady engaged in some heated trash talk. So the Chiefs could never really rebound after all those horrific calls. As if Tom Brady didn't already benefit enough from horrendous officiating over the years, he got all the help from the officials over Mahomes on this one. Super Bowl 53, the game-changing non-call. If there was one Super Bowl for everyone to hate, it's gotta be this one. The Los Angeles Rams did not deserve to be there. They only got in because of the Nola no call, easily the worst officiating mistake in NFL history. New England Patriots? Well, I mean, everyone outside of New England had Pats fatigue at this point, and they too benefited from some questionable calls in their epic overtime win over Patrick Mahomes' Chiefs in the AFC Championship game. So I mean, it's only fitting that this yawn fest of a Super Bowl was impacted by some atrocious officiating. More specifically, Stephon Gilmore's clear-as-day defensive pass interference penalty on Brandon Cooks that went uncalled. Should have been first and goal from the one there. But instead, Jared Goff threw a pick to Gilmore that put the game away. Afterward, the NFL admitted that the refs made a mistake and should have penalized Gilmore. Controversial and dull end to arguably the most boring Super Bowl ever. Super Bowl 54. Everything goes against the 49ers. There's no telling how different NFL history would have been if the San Francisco 49ers had defeated the Kansas City Chiefs in Super Bowl 54. Maybe the 49ers start a 2020s dynasty instead, and maybe the Chiefs never recover from the heartbreak. Make no mistake, the 49ers simply choked by giving up 21 unanswered points in their gut-wrenching loss to KC in Super Bowl 54. But the officials were also on the side of the AFC champions in this one. For starters, they had this head-scratching offensive PI call against George Kittle that thwarted a go-ahead field goal attempt at the end of the first half. Clinging to a 3-point lead with 5 minutes left, Jimmy Garoppolo's third down pass attempt fell incomplete. However, replays showed that he took a vicious hit to the head and should have drawn a roughing the passer penalty. Instead of a fresh set of downs, the 49ers had to punt. So, what happened on the ensuing drive? Patrick Mahomes' game-winning touchdown reception to Damian Williams, didn't really look like a touchdown. In fact, it looks like he was clearly out of bounds, at least to us. And you know the rest. The TD stands, the Chiefs get the turnover on downs and put it away on another touchdown. Double controversy at the end of Super Bowl 43. Hey, if it makes the Seahawks and their fans feel better, they weren't the only NFC West team that got robbed by questionable officiating in a Super Bowl against Ben Roethlisberger's Steelers. Whether Steelers fans like it or not, there will always be controversy about Santonio Holmes' game-winning touchdown. His toes were in bounds, yes, but did he really have possession all the way? I mean, we know what Steelers fans will say, and we also know what Cardinals fans would say. Of course, the controversy doesn't end there. Lamar Woodley strip-sacked Kurt Warner in the waning seconds to seal the Super Bowl, preventing the two-time MVP from attempting a last-second Hail Mary pass. So decide for yourself, was this actually a fumble or an incomplete pass? Warner expressed some confusion over the ruling, remaining adamant that it was an incomplete pass. At any rate, the controversial finish was enough for some disgruntled fans to firmly believe that the refs rigged the game for Pittsburgh again. Super Bowl 47, the hold that wasn't. Remember what we said about how the officials usually let them play? Well, let them play is exactly what happened at the end of Super Bowl 47 between the Baltimore Ravens and San Francisco 49ers. But this kind of goes back to the ending of Super Bowl 57 10 years later. Do you let them play or call a foul by the rulebook? Again, just no consistency from NFL officiating whatsoever. So the Baltimore Ravens were clinging to a 34-29 lead on the San Francisco 49ers with a minute 50 to go in the Super Bowl. 49ers were facing a 4th and goal situation at the 5-yard line, with only one timeout left in their pockets. This was basically the game. Colin Kaepernick heaved the ball up to receiver Michael Crabtree in the end zone. It fell incomplete, but it certainly looked like Jimmy Smith got away with blatant defensive holding. Ravens melted the clock to ice the game. As for those in the rigged conspiracy theory, pretty easy to believe. Between the power outage and the storyline of Ray Lewis going out on top as a Super Bowl champ. Super Bowl 56, double trouble for Bengals. On the 3rd and goal play, you can see 3 Rams offensive linemen get away with a blatant false start that should have set them back 5 yards. This is not even like a judgment call, that is straight up a botched job by the officials. And to put the icing on the cake, the refs called a tacky defensive holding penalty on Bengals linebacker Logan Wilson. So with a fresh set of downs at the goal line, Stafford hit Cooper Kupp for the go-ahead touchdown. The Rams D forced a turnover on downs to clinch the Super Bowl, thanks largely to 2 horrific officiating mistakes on the game's biggest play. Super Bowl 51, too good to be a real comeback. How how do the Falcons blow a 28-3 lead with a quarter and a half to go? How do they inexplicably botch every single offensive play call after scoring their 4th touchdown? How does a Matt Ryan and Julio Jones-led offense just blow it? Robert Alford's dropped interception that led to Julian Edelman's miracle catch on the Patriots' game-time drive, the Falcons not running the ball and taking a dumb penalty and sack when they were in field goal range to ice the game late, the Patriots' epic 25-point comeback and overtime win was so incredible that to this day, many folks refuse to take it seriously. It was just like the Falcons didn't want it, because maybe they were following an Oscar-worthy script to blow it. There is always going to be that crowd that questions the authenticity of New England's historic comeback. But what other Super Bowl moments had you wondering if the big game was rigged? Let us know in the comment section below. If you like this video and learned a thing or two, then clicking the like button helps out a ton. And you know, we really appreciate it. If this is your first time coming around to TPS though, then subscribing is a great idea, because we put out videos like this every single day. But as always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.